Croeso Channel Black Fluid. Welcome back to Minotaur Hotel. And as I record this, it got an update publicly a few hours ago, so we won't be seeing much of that one because I still have a lot more to record before I get to there. But yeah, I'm keeping up to date, and you'll be seeing as much as I can actually put on YouTube as we go forward. Yeah, if you've read news on the new update, you'll know why. Yeah, I won't be showing you everything. But anyway, when we left it, Oscar and Pedro were hanging out with Pedro and Leo. So let's see where things are going from there. So, Pedro, how are things going up there? Has that standard of quality persisted? Do you mind in Asterian's time off? Oh, it's nice, it's all good. Seems like it's all business as usual for the guys on the surface. No surprises or emergencies. There's that big-ass dog that keeps skulking around. Watch me when he thinks I can't see him. It doesn't seem like he means any harm. Things are pretty lively, too. I saw the crew of the lounge were working together with some other employees. They're planning a live music night later this week. Nothing huge. It's the usual kind of live music you get at a bar with the musicians who are around. Still, it's pretty sweet. Looks like you two created a really nice workplace. Everyone seems happy to be there. So yeah, it's running pretty smoothly even without the captains at the helm. Well, it helps that we pay them a small fortune. Yeah, well, it shows you guys care. You can still pay them a pittance, even if you can make diamonds from nothing. Sure, but what's the logic in that? If it doesn't cost us anything to do more, why go for less? Pedro gestures to you with his wine glass. On a logical level, you're right. Let's just say a corporation would disagree. They'd fuck people over just to make them more desperate and less likely to leave. We're different on that front too. As much as I love everyone, I do assume a lot of them will one day quit once they've saved up enough money. But that's part of the whole thing. They'll go back home or proceed to do better, bigger things, or just settle down and live a peaceful life. Whatever they do, if they ever need help again, we'll be here. Isn't that right, Asterion? Oh yeah, sorry about that. Are you alright? Yeah, just needed to think and put stuff together somewhere quiet. You got me. We're in this together, kid. Pedro. I want to stop looking for him. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't gotta keep it out for my dad or anything no more. Are you sure? Yeah. Don't think I need to now. Alright. Let's call it case closed, and you keep using the charm I made for you and the passport becomes your backup. And when we're done here, we're going home together. And that's it. You'll keep studying music and I'll figure myself out. We'll be in this together, taking our time and living it a day at a time. Pedro squeezes him around the shoulders. You always have me as a consolation prize, kid. Well, people think it's weird. Pedro's gaze remains fixed, despite the moment's hesitation. So what? I'm a peacock, you're a bull. Found a magic hotel. Life's weird enough already. Plus, if anyone asks, we can just tell them the truth. The truth? Yeah. It happens, you know. Life's complicated. As much as people like thinking that the average way is the only one, plenty of people just live differently. So, as uncommon as it may be, we can tell them the truth. That we're family. We don't even have to do any paperwork or anything. Just keep living like we have so far. I keep paying the bills. Life goes on. But if you want, we can do it officially. I can go and adopt you. And people think it's weird. Again, I'm a peacock with 100 eyes. Adopting a Minotaur is any weirder than that. Yeah, Dad's not going to like it. I don't think that's that much of a factor anymore. Then... yes, you're my kid now. For real. Asterion, Leo, sorry for storming out like that. Sometimes I just get sort of agitated and stuff's too much, and Yeah. I know how that feels. Oscar smiles as everyone sits down at the table again. One thing I wanted to ask. Can I... Asterion nods. You talked about gods, and I've seen one with my own eyes. Why did they make us? What did they make us for? Say it. You know the truth. An instrument of vengeance. Asterion looks away from him. Oscar stares on. I was made to cause pain, but that is not what I became. You and I are hybrids. We are neither here nor there. There is no place for us anywhere. It was not for me when I was alive, and it sounds like neither is it ever given to you. And so we have to build it ourselves, keep it safe. No matter what given purpose, we can make our own good. So that's what we are, builders. You are made strong to bear the yoke. Asterion looks up to him and their eyes meet. Is that what you want to be? I want something, anything at all. I want to live, not be on the streets and not be a reject. I want... A stop has been pulled in his mind, and the desires pour out, impossible to contain or control. I want my life to make sense. I want to know just why I was born and what I really am. What does it mean to be a Minotaur? Why were we put here? These gods you mentioned, why do they do this? Why do they hate us so? What did I do to deserve this? What did Pedro do to deserve what that guy did to him? What have we done to be stuck in this cycle? It's like, I look at the two of you and it's like I'm seeing a mirror. All of us are locked in this fate. Why? What else is written for us? I want out. I want to live. I want to feel alright with my own hooves and horns and fur. I want my mind to make sense. I want to know who I am. Gods be damned. They can rot in hell for all I care. I want the truth. It's just... Ugh. He almost gasps, out of breath. He stares down at his plate. I'm lost. So please... I want a home. The last of several torrents of words comes out with a tired trickle. Pedro takes him in his arms. The thing Minotaur catches his breath again, blushing into the dark fur. And stay with us, the two of you, and let us build this home together. There's room for more than one Minotaur in this hotel. Oh, let tomorrow please not come. His grasp may only last so long, and his grasp dissolves all thought, and even this eternal view seems pale and harmless when he holds his arms round me and wrestles close and makes me his for all his time. Oh, let tomorrow please not come, for his tomorrow's sooner far than mine. Later that night, as Pedro and Oscar were leaving for the guest bedroom and you cleaned up the aftermath, Asterion tended to the flame and performed his rite. The last, most noble glass of the night's wine belongs to the fire, and in exchange let this night be everlasting. Let this sweet, tender memory remain through all to come. From afar, Pedro and Oscar watched, and wavering eyes glinting in the darkness. Hours later you rise. Your throat is dry and your head aches from all the wine. You get up with all the care one can muster, barely a ruffle of sheets or sound of footsteps, as to not wake up your beloved. As you leave you see him reach out and hug your pillow to himself. As you approach the living room, however, breathing, soft, distracted, but too irregular to be of someone sleeping. And the clicking of claws, or perhaps talons, against the tiled floor. He hears your breathing, however, and the rustling of feathers follows. Pedro? Oh, apologies, Leo. I hope I didn't scare you. You don't need to apologise. Is everything all right? Such a simple question, but the small hours, the quiet and the wine instill honesty and reflection. The peacock's gaze falls to his hands. He twiddles his stubborn fingers as he mulls over his words, then looks at the window. It's all good, don't worry. Nothing wrong at all. All right. But if you do need anything, just ask. You're our guest here. And if you're feeling unwell... Oh, no, it's... His voice hitches and cracks. I really don't sound fine at all, do I? Sorry. The peacock slouches on the sofa and looks up to the ceiling. This was a month or so ago. I tell you I had too much coffee. I'll tell you to brush it off with just a bout of insomnia. But considering, well... He makes a large arch with his arms, motioning to your entire surroundings. Considering all the everything, I made a promise the kid. I'll tell you the truth. I don't sleep. That's just how my body works. I can't help but getting even more vigilant when Oscar and I aren't home. He groans through his beak. That sounds rough. I imagine it must be boring, being left wide awake while everyone else is off in dreamland for 8 hours every night. It creates a rift in the time spent with loved ones, a gap in the narrative woven between them. For 1/3 of each day, the peacock lives a parallel life, and each night only widens that abyss. You can see it in his eyes, despondent and resolute in equal measure. Each day the gap must be bridged. A conscious task, a daily rite. God, you mythicals never have it easy, do you? Well, it's useful for a job or two. There's money to be made from it. But you're right. I don't really like it myself. At least none of us are lately. Makes it hard to fit in when your mind keeps going on while everyone else is away, you know? It's disorienting for Oscar. When he wakes up, he never knows what's happened while I was awake. And I think that's making him too vigilant as well. Wanting an update every morning, even when there's nothing to report. Like, I might be reading a book when he's going to bed, and by the time he wakes up, I'm done with it. Or we might be watching a TV series together. I couldn't help myself and went ahead. In his drunkenness, he does not notice his accent slipping. Every morning before he gets up, I'll be figuring out what I'm telling him that day. The confessions of a poor insomniac. As much as your bed calls for you, it'd be too impolite and sad to leave this man alone. You take a seat on the couch opposite to him and prepare to listen. No, sorry. You don't gotta lose your sleep over me, please. That's good. I wasn't having a good dream. You can see through your lies. A few stray hairs from Asterion's chest cling to your cheek. But he's polite enough to keep quiet. Plus, I barely had a chance to have a proper conversation with you. Maybe we can get to know each other better now. Most of what I know from you came through Asterion. I don't know much about you either, aside from being the boss around here. Successor to that Clermont guy. Well, that's a very unflattering way to put it. I'd rather not be associated with him. Understandable. He's a very unpleasant guy. One tragic piece of shit, too. The Panopte's eyes grow hazy, dives back into a world of memories. That's only a moment for you, but who can tell how long goes by in his mind? His fingers curl and dig into his pants. Though the darkness does not help, you see his eyes do shift left and right. Yeah, mind if I ask a tough question? He opens wide his hawkish eyes. Go ahead. Be real with me. What's your plan? What's your goal with all this hotel thing? That's a tricky question. We have a mission here, to give a home to those who are lost. But is that all? Or do you have something else in mind? You know this place's history and what it did to Asterion. I want to get him out of here. Any reasonable person would want the same in my position. We figured out a few things about the trial that sentenced him. It was a rigged and ugly affair. He really didn't do anything to deserve this punishment. And after we get him out, we'll live. We can be happy. I can show him the world. Grow old together too. That's good. It's a nice sentiment. Feels like you're going to try to butt to that sentence any moment now. Everything I'll call my system making me soft. I'm not sure if I want to say it. What's there to lose? You're my host. You and Asterion have been kind to us. I shouldn't repay that with grief. I'll scratch that. I ought to say it, just in case. So I've been snooping around your files down the bedroll, right? I know how your contracts work, and I found that document, the so-called Constitution of the Labyrinth. That got me thinking, when you said you want to get him out. But what if doing that makes this whole place disappear? Wasn't this realm created just to contain him? I'm not sure if that's what's going to happen. But you cannot discard the possibility. Fair point. But strictly speaking, isn't Asterion dead? Do you think he can even exist outside? Like, what if the reason he can change his body at will like he does is... Maybe it's not a normal body. Maybe it's just his soul made tangible somehow. He might not be alive in the same way we are. In the warmth of his chest, in the rhythm of his breathing, might a chill of death hide? Or perhaps it camouflages an inevitable end to every hug, every kiss, every tender touch and gesture. No matter the intensity of the longing, time marches ever onward. Tomorrow always comes. Seems pretty alive to me. I felt his heartbeat plenty of times. Yeah, but Prometheus is dead too. According to legend, his liver still gets eaten by the eagles every day. I don't know much about ghosts and afterlives. Even occultists know much about those, mind you. But if Asterion's body can't keep itself together outside of this place? That's a lot of speculation you're doing there. He leans towards you and speaks with an intensity that cuts through what's left of his inebriation. It is, yeah. I'm just throwing ideas, even if they ain't my domain, because it really gets me worried. Suppose we don't know if to say what's going to happen, but let me put it this way. Just what's more important on your mind? Freeing Asterion or your hotel's mission? Asterion's been through enough. It's not right all this weight is put on his shoulders alone when everyone else gets to enjoy the good life. This whole place isn't right. It was built on a foundation of evil, and we can't just keep pretending it's all good and fine. Do we keep letting this wrongness persist to the next generations, or do we cut it out while we can? Someone has to take the bullet, and if it comes down to making sure all the employees and their families are taken care of, we can plan ahead for that. Even if the hotel has to end, we don't have to be like Clement. A little chortle comes from his beak. Very noble. But is that what Asterion wants? Of course he wants freedom. But at the cost of ending the hotel and all the good it brings? His life's or his unlife's work? The silence follows, so thick and oppressive you both hear the distant pitter-patter of water droplets falling from the cave ceiling. Your fingers and Pedro's claws drag over the couch's fabric. He looks away. I've seen this place before, you know. I know Astaire and Bethany had guessed from how little time I spent here. I saw my grandfather this time get through his feathers. When I stop and think, Astaire and Field seemed like a character from a movie, one I followed for what felt like years. He brought my grandpa here, he even gave me a little home in the woods. I slept under this ceiling in that same guest bedroom. I even spilled some wine there. Feels like I know well enough to say one thing. If it came down to having his freedom at the cost of ending his home for the lost, I don't think he'd want that. Shit's fucked, eh? You sigh and slouch forward, as if poor Atlas had dumped the weight of the world on his shoulders. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. With a not entirely steady hand, he smooths back his head feathers. Outside, the wind howls. From the cave's ceiling comes a light momentary rain, drops entering into the open window. You move to close it. Pedro stays behind, looking down at his hands, burning holes in them as his mind races to follow all that you discussed. This is not what you expected what should have been a brief visit to the kitchen. All you wanted was a glass of water. But, unpleasant as it may have been, it was not harmful. Some questions must be confronted at one point or another. The Panoptes looks up. What was left of the dinner's drunkenness is gone. You think you could use some air? Each with your own glass of water, you both take in the night air and the soft echoing breezes in the courtyard. The peacock paces, collecting his thoughts. You sit on the stone bench between contract paper shrubbery. Would you happen to have any job openings in your heretical gods-defying enterprise? Oscar and I have been thinking. That's an unexpected question. I wouldn't be able to tell you what positions we have open off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's something. We're always in need of more decent, trustworthy people. I'm sure Astaire would love having him around. Hell, he might want to work directly with Oscar, considering how well they get along. But if you don't mind me asking, I don't want a job now that I have all the money I could ever need. Yes. Good question. I suppose I became a bit too fascinated with this place. It operates more like a computer than like magic. He plops himself onto the bench beside you, adjusts his tail feathers and continues. I think the academic's going mad, if I'm being real with you. A chance to make a real difference. That's some naive just about any job offer, right? The kind of thing recruiters tell you to trick you into a shitty job. But the power you wield is something short of world changing. Getting involved with this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. If I let it go, I'll spend the rest of my days asking, but what if? I see where you're coming from. Plus, it'll help me get my mind in order. Not too much shit happened, I'm still getting my bearings back. There's this business I tried to start way back that could start up again, but I don't know if I could handle it right now. As for Oscar, it should be good for him too. He wants to go to college to study music. He hasn't even gotten his high school diploma yet. Shouldn't he focus on that then? Yeah, getting to know mythicals will also do him good. I'll teach him he's normal. He sloshes his glass of water around and looks at the dim lights reflecting off the surface. He knows his charm. Can't get enough of being seen as a regular human and walking around unnoticed. But in time we'll see how limited it is. He'll make friends with people who actually see his face. He'll have a chance to... love his true self instead of just loving his disguise. Not so different from any human who's had to hide their true self. But that thought, good master, you keep to yourself. Getting to know Astaire is doing him some good, I think. Certainly looks like they're both working through some issues together. Yeah, Oscar's going to make some good money here, too. He laughs like a squawk and elbows you. I want to set aside the one I got for him, but it's complicated. It's a much more emotional situation than you'd imagine. Rather not go into details, but you won't accept the money. You want things to stay the way they are. He grunts softly, with a distant gaze, while shaking his head and stretching his neck. Oh, we got you. He's just working a shitty gas station job. He's waiting to leave it now that we don't need it. He wants to work at least until he gets into college. I reckon he's afraid of us going our separate ways if he takes the money. Afraid of growing up too quickly just when... He trails off into a grumble. All the same, I can see his logic. He drinks most of his glass of water in one go before setting on the ground. As for me, that's no, I'd be welcome too. I haven't made up my mind, but getting that sort of confirmation from you is good. What's made you indecisive about it? I'm split between this place and going back to this whole project I had. Something I really believed in. A funding cut really fucked us, over. Well, actually, maybe it's something you'd appreciate. What was it? You know, some people use passports as charms. Yeah, I've seen a few. Those ones aren't bad, but they aren't good either. Some people like them, but only if they ever try anything better. They're made on the cheap, and in some countries really cheap. You won't get found out, you're going to be fucking miserable. He leans his head back and groans in old frustration. They do it on purpose. They give nice passports as special incentives for working government jobs. That said, even those upgraded ones aren't that great either. They're made with rights invented back in the 1800s. The fundamentals for it is even older. Treat your Westphalia shit. Don't think better than that. There are only two other ways. You can look for a right master to handcraft a charm just for you, but you're subject to what quality and types they can deliver. Those require a lot more upkeep. It's like having a dick. You're supposed to wash it every day, so you better take care of your goddamn charm just as well. Plus they can take days or weeks to make. You kind of have to spend that time with your right master. Not a charm making right whose powers are directly connected to the monetary value of the materials. Gold, silver, platinum, diamonds, the more expensive the better. Let me make myself clear. It works because it's expensive, okay? So, think you can do some good by making it cheaper, you're missing the memo. And they're the homemade charms. Those are usually kept for emergency, also as tacky mementos of a child's birth. Parents make these rudimentary charms while the kid is born using simple rites, so doctors, midwives and family friends won't freak out during or after childbirth. If you had medieval legends of women giving birth to weird animal people, demons or whatever, they forgot to do it. Some of them just didn't have time, or, you know, this magic is literally powered by love, so if there's no love, ouch. Now, the good thing is you can make those charms out of pretty much anything. You don't need any training. But absolutely terrible. And assuming you're not a literal baby, they can and will leave you hanging in the worst possible moments. I don't think rights of making charms are real art. Real science too. And parents' love can only get you so far in place of a professional. And that Kembish kid? He's got it real rough with some absolute amateur hour charms. Oscar practically begged me to hook him up with a better one. I'm glad to oblige. Sounds like all of those options have serious issues. Which is why some years back, got together some colleagues, the cultists all, we started working on figuring out an entirely new framework for the passport charms. He leans forward now, the passion breaking past his fading drunkenness. Something more effective, built on inalienable rights instead of national sovereignty. With a right to dignity as its cornerstone. Seems sort of simple, right? A little change to the base like that can do a lot. That way mythicals won't be forgotten during life or wiped away from record after our deaths. He sighs, eyes with a starry glint. But do you really think that's enough? What do you mean? It'd be best for you guys to not need charms at all. Because sure, having better charms is nice, but you're still going about your life while wearing a disguise. His expression tightens, not quite a smirk, mirthless on his beak. You're not the only one to think that. I don't even disagree with you there. It goes back to what I said about Oscar. That being you'll be good for him. I don't want him falling in love with his disguise. It's a whole political movement about this. Even they admit we're still going to need charms for a while. I had some support from them towards our project. Things are coming along well, and we had the backing from some people in high places. But it's intensive, full-time work, and our funding got pulled because of corporate bullshit. Besides, there were better PR opportunities than supporting this weird group which job couldn't even explain to the board of directors. Better bank than back to support a feminist organisation trying to teach school-age girls how to code. We had a higher up in the international organisation that tried to help us. It all collapsed when it came out of being sexually harassing his secretary. He clenches his fist and his feathers start to bristle. My funding got pulled and left me with a lot of debt. Everything came crashing down. I'd asked my dad to help find a job and all. Christ, that's really rough. Must have been really deflating for you. He takes a deep breath and stifles a slight tremble. Now that I have the money. Thinking of getting the gang together? His eyes are a little wet. Maybe. The idea of working here is very attractive too, so the decision is hard. I know Oscar wants to work here, so if I did too, then we'd be able to stay together without any issues. I did some asking around back at the surface. I was told there'd be no problem with Oscar living back with me and just commuting or staying here some nights if he ended up working late. Luke even offered to come pick him up and drop him home every day if that's necessary. Really though, the thing bothering me is... Pedro looks away and sighs. His fingers curl, digging claws on his pants. I'll just say it. The reason why I'm not sure what to do is that snake guy Argos, or Nikos as he seems to be called now. There's some people talking. I think he'll want to stay if he's able to. There's a tiny quiver in his breath. I'd rather not go into details. What matter is that I'm afraid of myself when he's around. I don't know what I'm capable of. It's not something I know how to control, even if I can. Same goes for him. Imagine panic he feels when I'm nearby is just as uncontrollable. Things had gone differently that night. It'd been me smashing his head in. Oh. Oscar shouldn't be affected by this, though. You don't have to worry. Is there no way to solve this dispute between the two of you? Can't we just talk? I'm afraid it's more complicated than that. It's all magic. An ancient grudge from who knows how long ago cursing us towards bloodshed. I just talked myself through it. You don't think I already would have? Just thinking about the situation again makes my feathers stick up, my head feel foggy. It's not something normal talking can resolve. Pedro concentrates, brow pursed. When he exhales hard, he stretches his leg. His foot knocks over his glass. Oh fuck, sorry. Oh, don't worry, I didn't do anything wrong. I don't want to pressure you about me or him or that snake guy. Or what? If you'll have him, Oscar would love to have a place here. You sip your water, you both take a moment to look around. His eyes and yours taking the twinkling dots above, the dusky flames below, and the austere yet welcoming walls now surrounding you. A place built from a scavenged failure, constructed with hazy ancient nostalgia, and a hope for the future that still burns with love. Pedro's eyes are closed, his tail's ever so slightly fanned out behind him. The things we do for love. About that. What exactly is the relationship between the two of you anyway? Are you his guardian or something? Sort of, but not legally or anything considering how we met. How long have you known each other? He looks away from you. Not a whole lot. And you're thinking of maybe adopting him? An adult you don't know too well? Yep, maybe. I don't know. It's a real bad idea, isn't it? Not my business, man. But you're the one telling me about how people would lick my boots to inherit the hotel. Fuck, I know it is. Really should think more about it, but I've got one of my emotions here. I haven't felt this strongly about anything for a good while. I mean, honestly, if it's worse, it's all I got left. I got contact with both my parents, all the grandparents, except the only one who loved me. But you know what happened to him. What do I even do? Go back home and play video games all day? Roll on my couch until the day I die? I can't even sleep, for fuck's sake. I'm all fucked up in the head, and Oscar ain't the same either. He rubs the sides of his head with his palms, hard. Well, he's good. It's fucking great. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm drunk. Keep that in mind, alright. I'm getting emotional here. He smooths back the feathers on his head and takes a breath. Keeps telling me not to hold it in so much, so there, I'm doing what he said. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'll be a dad to a 21-year-old. The peacock struggles containing the following silence. Fingers drag on his pants, eyes flick back and forth, even his breathing is picked up. The thoughts and questions he brought you in these dark hours are far from pleasant. What is a long night for if not for reflection? There can be no grudge, but sympathy is another matter altogether. If it means anything, considering he has a good character, and if you're serious about helping him figure himself out, what's the worst that could happen? He's already a grown man. Even if you adopt him and needs a few years to find his direction in life, it's not like he'll be living with you for as long as 18 years. Yeah, maybe you're right. Another draft blows high above. Another wave of condensation drizzles down, almost a mist, almost holy. Only a few droplets hit you and Pedro. Pedro stands and stretches. He looks towards the entrance, then back at you. Aren't you going back to bed? Not anymore. Did my misery infect you? Kinda, yeah. Then, do you want to hear a story of how we met? Sure. But then you have to hear me talk about how Asterion and I met, assuming you don't know all of it from the inside out already. How about we take a walk, to make sure we don't wake the dozing cattle? Why not? You stand to join him. Alright, so it all started in this place. We call it the Hinterlands. As Herrick said to gather rosebuds, please. Oh, sir, please gather all your fill from me. My soul, my body, offer it it all. A needful heat, all from your presence blooms. 'Tis only right you firmly claim it yours, and pluck the rose beneath that branch you swing. Even in the sunless and dirty lifeless world, morning comes. Be it day or night, the great necks would shudder just the same when the abyssal breeze lurks through the boughs. Be it summer, winter, spring or fall, the asphodels, gorgeous gifts from the island's namesake, stretch out their stamens just the same. The lake shore dances and sings its long morning song. Glittering water drips down from the stalactites far above, and the flames, unlatched from all their warmth, remember it all. Even this lightless underground, life rouses itself from restful slumber just the same. Asterion rises first. His hooves irk up to the kitchen, where you and Pedro swap stories over sharp, freshly brewed coffee. You beckon Asterion and pour him a cup. Your fingers meet and linger as you give it to him. You pull him closer by the waist and drink in sync, as if a single mind shared two bodies. Pedro does not let this interrupt him. The guy was just there on the kitchen floor, high as a fucking kite, halfway through his overdose trip. Asterion leans his head on your shoulder and takes a sip. You nod to Pedro's story. Figured out his sister's telephone number, and as far as I know, everything went well for him. I reckon he didn't lose too many brain cells. The Minotaur closes his eyes and dozes off again with a gentle groan, sparing himself from the peacock's gruesome tales. I'll probably save our lives, because a few days later his sitter comes over, tells a bunch of people died in the shootout and we had to skip town. Not the storm had anything to do with it, but some people believe we did. My grandpa used to work for some fucko in that area. You wear every single one of the peacock's words. You, good lord, you must not give in without a fight. You search your mind for the most precarious life experiences you will put through. But you know how it goes. No good deed goes unpunished. She gave this nice local cheese the parting gift. When my dad saw the thing, he threw a fucking fit. Looked as bad as a PTSD flashback, I tell you. And that's why there's a greasy cheese stain on my wall. A fine tale, indeed. There are a few things more precarious than finding a stranger overdosed in a kitchen, or a mysterious food stain on a wall. What absurdity have you seen that could compete with that? That's a good one, I'll give you that. Thank you, thank you. How'd you grade it? At the very least an 8. The mix of life-threatening situations, casual neurological damage and family trauma is quite unique. With your love by your side, holding him up as he returns to dozing upon your shoulder, truly you could do anything. Now, good master, how will you respond? Let's see. I have a story, I suppose. It's not that funny, but it's fucked up and maybe you might get something out of it. This happened when I was a kid. I was in school one day when I was pulled out of the classroom and taken by this lady. She was a school psychologist, this big building. Once I was there, I was told my parents had gone into a car crash and... well, I got to see them one last time. They were unconscious, but I stayed there until they passed. Once the nurses started, preparing them, I just drifted around. I couldn't handle it, so I just went and sat in the courtyard on the upper floor, like a balcony where people could smoke. I think any of the nurses who were supposed to look after me were paying attention. I don't know if I felt anything besides a weight on me, but my parents were gone. I felt like there wasn't any going on from that, and maybe it's a bit dramatic for a kid to think about. But as I was sitting there, I just thought maybe I should jump. Maybe I should join them. Maybe that'd be fair. That's really rough, man. They sure to talk about it. But a bird flew down to my lap between my clenched fists. And it just sat there. I didn't have any food or anything. Just sat there and hopped around like there's nothing to be afraid of. You wouldn't let me touch it. I petted it for who knows how long. As the time it seemed to look straight up at me and then the nurses found me out there and the bird flew away. I actually don't know why I told you that one. Just felt right all of a sudden. That's because I'm a bird. You had to have some relationship to a pigeon. Do you think all avian mythicals are the same? That's fucking with you. Astero nuzzles his dew-covered nose on your shoulder. With a little start, he opens his eyes again. Well, what are you two talking about? We're just playing a little game, babe. Nothing you should worry about. Oscar's coming over. How'd you know that? He's been keeping one of my feathers a good luck charm. I see he's getting up now. Not a minute later comes the sound of a tail swishing against the walls, a drowsy snort, all to the polyrhythmic beat of hooves. The peacock greets Oscar with a pat on the back. The Minotaur makes no motion to move away from the feather touch, but his gaze wanders off. Beyond drowsiness, his eyes are faded. Good morning, Oscar. He grunts a half-word, then a regretful one a moment later. Though the touch on his back and the warmth all around his welcome, he remains tight-lipped. You, masterful lord, intervene for even a drop of awkward silence settles on the counter. Astero, my king, what are the plans for today? His ears flutter. Since our guests are leaving later tonight, I was thinking we could show them around the island after we eat. I never knew a visitor was not amazed by it. Sure looked impressive during the boat ride. Oscar thought we were entering fairy tale land. All right, we already prepared breakfast, so you two sit down and let's get started. Really? I was planning on... Yes, everything is done. Pedro and I woke up earlier and decided to be useful for once. You bump your hip against his. We're equal partners after all. And you better eat well. We have a big day ahead of us. The tour begins the island's most recent structure, the palace. After going over your shared living quarters, Asteron shows a large courtyard in the middle. My friends and I often spent the night here, drinking, reading stories, playing songs to each other. And the residents' children would organise little plays every other month, just for fun. We would cook all manner of sweets back then. Did you guys use those upper floors for more stage space too? But of course. It worked quite well for a castle, or a tower, or the Vault of Heaven, or even the House of Capulet. The place seems made for a play, really. From the courtyard, our staring goes to one of the wings, down a long corridor with small cell-like rooms to each side. Pedro follows close, listening to every word and nodding along. You're half a dozen steps behind, sticking to Oscar's slower, more ponderous pace. Many of our residents were persecuted one or another for their religion. The hotel's Catholic traditions were not always welcoming. So, in addition to my own shrines and altars, I kept a few rooms here, which in time were occupied for different kinds of worship, to house and maintain offerings. Oscar peeks into the rooms. His gaze drifts over the old forgotten artifacts, finding nothing to latch on. It is not a contemporary form of worship, and sometimes there was friction. But in the end it made it easier for everyone to get along. All kinds of belief were welcomed here, and at the town as well. Past the hallway is the path built on the downhill slope. From it a dozen smaller homes are accessible. Down that way and upstairs are some workshops, with more down in the village. Here we can have almost anything created with the hum of a song. But what is the joy in that? I confess, with as much room as we have here, I thought it agreeable to just allow people to use the rooms for their creative endeavours, without any formality. You'll find that many still have tools scattered around. We have many artisans working here in various houses on the island. I do not hire them for it. The people here don't have to work. Housing, food, and all manner of necessities provided at no charge. They worked only because it made life more enjoyable. They made such beautiful things too. Pedro and Astera enter a few workshops to look around. You and Oscar stay behind and watch from afar. Is everything all right? One of these workshops has some old instruments, if you'd like to see those. I'm just feeling odd. Too much happening all at the same time. Yeah, a lot to take in last night. Not as I don't believe what Asterion said, but... feels like I can't go long without getting the rug pulled from under me. I know how it feels. I'm no Minotaur, but that's what it's like for me when I got here and learned how deep the rabbit hole goes. It's alright if you feel lost or confused. He looks down to his hooves. In the distance, Asterion and Pedro enter another workshop. What about angry? About what? The gods and what they did to him. To us. Not all gods opposed Asterion's cause. Hades and Hestia for two tried to defend him as best they could. Hermes too, but you can see the guy's a whole can of worms. I suppose that's nowhere close to making up for everything the rest of them did, though. He huffs through his nostrils. It ain't. The Minotaur chews his fingernail while his tail whips left and right. Well, why doesn't he get angry? You think of all the good those gods gave humanity. I can't bear it. See what that fucker tried to do to Pedro. Fucks me up, just a thought. But was he in full control of himself? Didn't you talk about that recursion thing? He was so deep in it he got sent to a frenzy. There's no telling how many times he's been repeating that story. He killed the first Argos Panoptes, as the story goes. Wouldn't surprise me if he didn't stop there. Maybe Pedro was just another one for his score. That's why he couldn't control himself. And Pedro's grandpa. You think he's behind? Can't discard the possibility. But did the two of them ever meet? Oscar's gaze rises as stalactites far above. A drizzle of droplets, pushed off by a draft, falls down on the both of you. Well, I think so, yes. That's a serious accusation. Not an entirely plausible one, given what we saw. I understand better why you feel anger. I just don't get why Mr. Asterion ain't cursing him. You can barely hear Pedro's and Asterian's conversation. Something about planks of Nixwood left in one of the workshops. The Minotaur must be explaining their origins. It's hard for him. He respects, worships, loves and fears those gods. Oscar grunts. Some would call religion a form of indoctrination, and Asterion was taught to fear and respect the gods of his time and place. Even now, I've seen all the evidence pointing to their misdeeds. It must be difficult for him to separate himself from so many centuries of faith. It's hard for mortals like us, and it must be harder for someone like him. I keep quiet about him most of the time. For a while I thought it's something best for him to figure out on his own, at his own pace. An idea made by your own hands is, shall we say, often more cherished than an answer delivered by an outsider. Asterion laughs while Pedro smirks at his own joke. Oscar snorts at your words, looking away. However, he raises his ears. It took me a long time to instill in him a sense of self-worth. There's only so much that I can do. Things improved when we built a community around us. That was an important stepping stone, you could say. He needed more than just me. One man alone cannot be another's entire world. And meeting you, getting to know you, was especially good to him. So, if there's something bothering... I should talk with him. That's right, but try not to talk at him. Try to understand where he's coming, what he's been through, what beliefs he's held on over the years, and keeping all that in mind, talk with him. You might find some of your thoughts changing and learn a thing or two from him as well, as long as you're open to it. Speaking for myself, I think I agree. Maybe a bit, or a lot, of anger would be good for him. Being wrongfully sentenced while amounts to eternal suffering, a large dose of rightful indignation seems warranted to me. Perhaps if you approach him with kindness, he might understand your concern and hear you out. The Minotaur bites his lip, digs his fingernails on the palm of his hand and stops, only a flick shy of drawing blood. You think if I did something for him, something to show it? I don't really know what you're getting at, but maybe. Sometimes gestures can be more effective than words. Yeah, a gesture. Something like that. I saw you guys doing a thing on the fireplace last night. Putting out the fires. It's a little tradition Asterion has. It's supposed to make a night unforgettable. Well, I gather he's been doing it for centuries, if not thousands of years. So I call it a tradition. Is there another name for it? The Minotaur's lips tighten and his ears flick. He listens to the distant rumbling of water. You think we could, later... I mean, you know if the lake water's clean? He points way off into the distance, towards the path down to the dock. Absolutely. You can literally drink it without any kind of filtering at all. It's that clean. And would it be too much if we could go for a swim? All of us. There's some nice bathing spots. Asterion took me to a particular one, in fact. The waters there are naturally warm, too. We'll need some bathing suits. About that. Sorry if it's weird, but would it be alright if we could skip that? He rubs the nape of his neck, looks towards the workshops Asterion and Pedro are exploring. Maybe it's best if I just come clean. I want to perform a rite, a kind of ceremony for him. I think it'll make him understand. I hope it will. But it's important we're all cleaned up before I start, and details matter in this kind of stuff. Pedro really hammered in that being cleansed is real important. I'd like to get it right in the first try. I don't think I'll be able to give it a second go today. Alright, that can be arranged. Oh, I'll say you got me curious about what you're planning. I'm afraid I can't say much more. Brings bad luck if I do. We best we didn't speak about it to Pedro and Mr. Asterion either. Occult means, like, secret, you know. But if you're ready to put some faith in me, it would be too much later if you could get us some wine. Food, too? Going for a swim and having a picnic on the shore sounds like a pretty good afternoon, honestly. With a fire, too. Of course. Anything an honoured guest needs. Thanks, Leo. For the help. And the trust, too. You're welcome. My home's your home. If it's about helping my man work through his issues, I'm all for it. God, you've got such an open mind. Wish there were more people like you back where I grew up. My life would have been a hell of a lot easier. And, considering you and Asterion are a thing, I suppose you wouldn't be creeped out with my, Oscar stops and the question lingers. You look away and give him all the time to muster every syllable. My body. What did he mean by this? Well, I wouldn't shame anyone for how they look. That's just unpleasant, rude, and not my style, isn't it? He nods, but still has a sheepish, embarrassed smile. As if expecting more. And, well, I do love my man, mind, soul and body. You probably won't find another human in the world who's more into a Minotaur's body than me. So, if you feel it all unsure, rest assured you'll only find positivity and acceptance coming from me. Oscar's ears flutter. Thanks. It's so incredible what you have there. You swear it comes from the underworld. I do, or, well, it grew out of something from the underworld. Sadly, I can't allow you to study it. Some secrets are meant to remain as such. That's alright. I don't have too much stuff to look over on the surface anyway. He admires the grain on the next foot again before setting the plank down. This place really is an occultist dream. I've got to say, after I figured you out, I wasn't expecting you to have a whole Minoan palace hidden somewhere. Asterion chuckles, a little flush on his cheeks. It really is a bit too grandiose, is it not? I thought you were more of a tiny cottage in the woods sort of guy. Well, I am. This island did begin far more modestly, with only a small home modelled after my memories of Crete, but then I started having guests. I was getting so many visitors every day. There was so much work in making sure this little community ran smoothly. I had to expand things. A storeroom here, a library there, an office, a workshop. It was all haphazard. Then a dear friend, a mythical, pulled me aside for a talk. My home had become a bit of a community centre by then. He told me to take it a step forward and build something entirely mine, something that would make me happy. Well, my cottage started with nostalgia and sentimentality, so I chose to build a whole palace in the same style as the one I was raised in, though being liberal with departures from that old standard. And with it always more spacious to accommodate larger people, modernised the plumbing, made many changes to account for the difference in lighting and temperature. Changed how we store things too. Back then we used those big clay jars, taller than a man, all of them terrible, frightful things. Past the eagerness in his explanation, an ancient worry creeps into his voice. Some would be stored in holes carved on the stone ground, so we could place more things on top. Children could just sneak in and hide in one of the pots while playing hide and seek. It was terrible. I'm with you there. That sounds like a terrible hazard. You see, they had good reason to be liberal with the changes. Where I believe I kept the essentials. Asterion leans back against the stone in the wall. The coolness centres him. Back home, palaces are open to the public. There are no outer walls, gates or checkpoints. People would come and go for a variety of reasons. It's not even difficult for a farmer to gain an audience with a local ruler. There are many ceremonies when my father and I went out together to bless the fields. In my home, king and farmer walked the same streets and saw each other eye to eye. We were human all the same. Asterion's eyes glimmer over the underground starlight. For a moment he sees it again, the land of his youth. Thank you for your generosity to have me, well, even knowing that farmer, O king. Pedro bows with a squawking laugh, and Asterion chuckles with a blush once more. I like that spirit of a land so peaceful, its people so kind, dispense for the need to security against each other. We don't even install locks in this palace, except for the cellar. That was a matter of child safety. My quarters, of course, are a little more privacy, regardless of security. Pedro turns and looks out the window as he listens. But it was mainly about the cellar. People used to raise their sons and daughters on this island. I didn't want them sneaking in and playing there. The only real security incident we ever had involved a 5-year-old girl who insisted on stealing shiny things when no one was looking. Began with another child's figurine, and then some guest jewellery. She meant no harm and came clean about it after only a few days. He turns back to Asterion. But there's no need for security. Then why did my grandpa come here? We stayed by the entrance of the woods, again because of the children. They could not resist playing there, and we all rested better knowing there'd be an adult nearby. Your grandfather assumed that role of a watchman for their safety, not for my security. Never have I seen such a dutiful watchman. Additionally, despite his demeanour, he is always quite good with children. Pedro's gaze falls to the floor, and so does Asterion's when he realises the tender wound he touched. Tell me, what was he like for you? Did he retain that kindness? Kindest man I ever met. A little sniffle. Asterion? Pedro? There you are. I decided on the tour guide. Oh, yeah. Leo and I are just tossing some ideas about what to do today. What do you guys think of having lunch by the lake shore later? Oscar was telling me he loved the vibes and wanted to feel the breeze on his fur. That would be easy to arrange. There's a hint of excitement in his voice, eager to fulfill a guest's request. If it was a challenge, he'd be glad to do it. The tour continues with Asterion quietly making plans, adjusting the planned route, thinking about food and drinks. And that seems like a good place to leave this episode of Minotaur Hotel. We'll catch up with the afternoon of swimming and picnics in the next episode. And next week we have something which I've got to check earlier. I don't remember now, but there will be another VN next weekend. Possibly a short story in the week. If not, that will be the following week. And then we'll be keeping up with our VNs on the weekends. Didn't get quite as much done as I wanted to. There's been a lot of life stuff happening. And so Sanctuary will now be showing up start of September. I'd hope to do it for the end of August, but I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, that will be happening. We have Chainye, Spectrum of Hybrids, lots of stuff happening on the channel. And my patrons always know what's going on, including something I'm planning for later in the year. They've seen a brief clip of it. So that's something I'm working on as well at the moment. And if you want to join my Patreon, it's literally $2 Canadian a month, and you get access to the Discord, all my posts, and stuff like that. Oh, and you also get a name on the front of all these videos. And my top patrons get mentioned at the ends as well, and they are Andy Peng, Aaron Fox, Bastian, Bieka, Nova Starburn, Ryan Hall, Govers Visser, Exac, Riz, Harvest Mouse Productions, Evan King, Kartek, Makenya, Omar, Spiderling, Smuto, Tiger Cup, Aramam Tarasu, Alamea, Greylock, and Gracious Yevon. So thanks to all my patrons for their support, especially in this economy, and thanks to you for watching as well. I will definitely be back here next weekend with the VN, and say maybe in the week we'll see how things go. But I also plan to be on Twitch maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. I'm not sure yet. I will be letting my patrons know. I'll probably put something on Blue Sky about that. Just trying something a bit different, which is why I won't be on YouTube. I'll just be playing a game I was involved in a few years ago. Just chatting. You can come and watch it for a bit. Yeah, that's bears in it. Who said no surprise? Come on, I didn't invent the game. But I will let you know what my plan is for that. You want to pop it on Twitch, and I'll be recording it, so I'll put it on YouTube at some point as well. Yeah, we'll figure that one out anyway. But thanks for watching. Bye for now.